The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
All right. Welcome to a very special edition, a bonus podcast of Burner Podcast. This one's a little bit different. You're probably already seeing that it is being released on an off Wednesday, not the first or third Wednesday of the month, which is when Burner Podcast is typically released. But this particular episode was a special little project that producer Meg and I kind of cooked up because honestly, we just thought it would be fun. It holds no official capacity of any sort. It was just a kind of a fun little thing that we wanted to throw together on a personal level. As a podcaster, as a geek, I wanted to experiment with having a multi-mic podcast. So I called in my creative partner, Chris, known in the hip-hop community as Kills Hire, to come in and engineer this madness with having several different people being in the room at the same time. Because if you listen to the show any other times, you know, it's just pretty much either me or me and one other person. So we can talk shit directly to each other without anybody else interrupting. But this particular episode that we gleefully, playfully named The Debate, it's not really a debate. I mean, because honestly, most of the time they're agreeing with each other. But it's really interesting to kind of get to know some of the people that are running for SDCAP. Now, SDCAP, if you are not familiar, is short for San Diego Collaborative Arts Project. And I'm going to kind of get into explaining what some of that is. Maybe some of you live in San Diego and you weren't entirely certain how it was all working. You'd heard some things about SDCAP here and there, but you weren't sure. So hopefully this episode is going to shed a great deal of light on what SDCAP is. And more than anything, when I wanted to start Burner Podcast, my mission was not to preach only to San Diego, because most of you guys know me already and most of you guys know each other. My audience has always really been, the ones that I've been feeling the most for in my heart, have been the burners that maybe it's like that one guy or that one couple that lives in Pensacola, South Dakota. I just made that city up. I don't know if there's a Pensacola, South Dakota. But the point is, a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this podcast, it is my dream that they will be ideas. Things that maybe places that don't have access to the kind of vibrant burner community that we have access to. Maybe you need to kind of figure out how to get built up so you can kind of get to our level, because we are like the New York fucking city of burnerdom. I don't know, maybe that's actually San Francisco. But San Diego's up there. We're pretty badass. I mean, it's like us, it's Austin. It's, you know, there's a few other cities that are kind of epicenters of burnerdom. And I would like to believe that San Diego is one of those places. We have a really wonderful and amazing community. And I would love to see more and more people, more and more cities like ours flourish in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And if our little team over here, myself, producer Meg, and Alpi, our online editor, can facilitate some of that growth by helping you access some of those ideas, where you can eavesdrop on some of what's going on in our little world over here, you know, I can sleep at night knowing I've given a good gift to the community, a place where we can come together and have these discussions. So that's kind of the audience. But let's get sort of into what SDCAP is. So the San Diego Collaborative Arts Project has a board of directors, okay? And we're going to get into what that board does right now. The current board is Jennifer General Giddens. She's the president. Her term is up. There is Nicole Misinfo Hickman. Nicole Hickman was, if you'll remember, on episode number 4 of Burner Podcast. She was the guest. There's Taz, of course, who was on episode 5. Oh, you remember that one? The one that I was shitting my pants. There's Camber, who is looks like he's got one more year to go. You have Touch, who I'm hoping to get on the show pretty soon. Perception, who is the event producer. She's got 2 more years on the board, and Perception is involved with a bunch of different projects. She's got some involvement event production with Lightning in a Bottle and some other big ones that you, dear listener, may or may not have been to, but you may have felt Perception's touch somewhere along your journey. Then there's, of course, Jake Holler. Jake is one of the head guys over there at Electric Poncho, who I'll be going to in April. And he is a major community leader and really busts his ass. So his term is up. And then you have Mark Hinckley, who had to leave the board due to some unfortunate illness. And Dean Pathfinder, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Kosi. We're just going to call him Dean. Dean left the board he was the treasurer. He left the board in order to serve as executive director for the community. So I'm not expecting you to have actually been keeping up on the math, but there are 5 open seats. And the term lengths for each one of these seats ranges from 1 to 3 years. And apparently that is agreed upon, negotiated between the elected members. So I'm going to go ahead and read you guys the mission statement real quick here that Dean sent me. And this is all, it's like some legalese here. SDCAP is a 501c3 nonprofit that supports individuals, groups, and communities in San Diego, California region in producing and demonstrating collaborative arts and projects, particularly those that model and or employ the principles of, and then it gets into the Burning Man principles over here. The entity also maintains Collab, which is our community meeting and art build space that you guys hear us talking about all the time on the show. Also provides grants for materials needed to build art at Utopia, Figment, Burning Man, and other events. So that's SDCAP in a nutshell. I'm going to read a quick little statement here that Dean sent as well. It's mostly quoted directly from him, with perhaps some smart-ass side comments from me from time to time. As San Diego's DCOM grew larger and larger, so did the needs of our organization and our community. Utopia is now a $300,000 event, and the proceeds are being used to support our community year-round with projects like Collab, Figment, and other Burning Man community builds. San Diego Collaborative Arts Project, SDCAP for short, is now an official 501c3 nonprofit, and its board members are responsible for supervising the funds and people that make the magic happen. Board members are entrusted to create and enforce policies that serve the best interest of our community and to align our processes as much as possible to our values. Applying for grants and gifts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, basically, they're running shit. I mean, that's the long and short of it. They're the community elders. They're the people that we turn to so that we don't just set the building on fire on accident. Because sometimes we set shit on fire on purpose. We've been known to do that as burners, I think. While it is the board, I'm back to quoting Dean here, while it is the board that ultimately confirms the new board members, community participation is essential to maintaining our values. It is your questions and feedback that help the board acquire actionable information. And seeing the votes of community gives the board clear feedback on who will best represent us for these important roles. Namaste. That's how Dean signed off his email, by the way. Namaste. Fucking hippies. So, long and short of it, it's a fun podcast. We're goofing around, we're having a good time, but we're also talking about a lot of what's happening in our community. And Engineer Chris, we've dubbed him Engineer Chris when he comes to do burner podcast stuff, when he's not the co-host of Crappy Awesome podcast. Shameless plug. Chris was absolutely fascinated by the conversation. He was riveted because he was basically observing that it is a lot of the same kinds of things that a lot of communities discuss and battle over. And we are becoming more and more organized. We are becoming a little army of hippies out here in San Diego. There's big things happening and we're growing, and leadership and organization is a big part of it. If you live in San Diego, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you already have a very strong understanding. You've already come to the conclusion of who you're going to vote for. So the likelihood that this podcast is going to sway votes is low, in my opinion, at least. There are other people that violently disagree with me. But it's a lot of fun to get to know some of the participants. And once we get in there, they're going to introduce themselves. We don't have all of the people running. There's 9 people altogether running for 5 open seats. And I believe we had 6 people in the room, 5 or 6 people in the room. I don't know. I'm recording this at a different time. But you'll see. Everybody's going to introduce themselves. You're going to get to know them. You'll see that for the most part, if you're a burner in San Diego, for the most part, we're generally on the same page. There's a few things that we disagree with. And some of those disagreements get kind of loud. And then we spend a bunch of time talking about sucking dicks. So that's the podcast that you have to look forward to right now. It's going to go for about 2 hours. I'm not going to do an interruption in the middle where we talk about announcements and events. This is a special bonus episode. And, you basically have the rundown. That's basically what it is. It's going to be us talking about a lot of the stuff that's happening in the community. There's a little bit of a format to it, but, we go off the rails pretty quickly, as is expected on Burner Podcast. We set it on fire or we break it. I don't know. The rails don't last very long on this show, and Meg predicted that long before we actually even started recording. She knows me too well already. And for some of the people running for the board that were not able to make it to the recording, a couple of people had to cancel last minute. Alpi, our online editor, has reached out to see if she can get some answers dragged out of these people on the blog at burnerpodcast.com. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with the balls and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name, and it felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no name.
All right. Let's see. And we're recording. Oh, look at that. That sounds great. Some of the static went out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to the 27th annual SDCAP. It's not 27th annual, is it? It's like the first one. It's the very first one. We might never do it again. It might be a complete disaster. It's a very strong possibility it will be. But in the room, we have 5 of the 9 candidates for SDCAP board. Yeah, Brenda's doing the raise the roof. I should probably remind you that this is an audio program, so people can't see what you're doing.
Okay.
But it's super entertaining to the rest of us. Here's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to have you guys just go around the room and introduce yourselves so that the listeners can have a voice associated with the name. Let's start from this side of the room.
Hi, I'm Colin.
Oh, that was sexy.
I'm Brenda.
Okay.
This is Cable. This is my straight voice. It may it may get more excited later.
Fully supported.
Hello, this is Lisa.
And of course, this is Paul.
All right. And absentee, people that were not able to make it tonight, is Alice Wang, Matt Gale, Kenny Kundo, and Jake Holler. Alice Wang was actually on our 3rd episode, so if you want to get to know her, she had like a whole show to herself. Matt, Kenny, and Jake pretty much got dicked. So they get no sort of representation on the podcast whatsoever. So I'm going to be I probably already covered some of this in the intro that's going in. This is not in any sort of official capacity. None of the points are going to really matter, but it's going to be just basically a quick get to know you candidates. Get to know like really who you are at your guts, at your core. And it's just going to be a little bit of fun we're going to have. Okay. So you guys can talk, by the way. You can chime in whenever. There's no exact rule, unless I tell you you're not allowed to talk, which means right now you're not allowed to talk. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the questions, okay? Everybody's ready? Nod, yes? You look scared, Cable. Did you have something to say? Grab the mic.
I don't know. Can
Grab the mic.
No, I have to actually grab it.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Okay, see, I'm already getting more excited. Okay.
Was that your day?
That's all I wanted to check.
Yes. Yeah, excellent. There's going to be, that's not a problem. There's going to be some growing pains since we're passing around the mics and we're working on a format that historically we have not had too much experience with, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and get warmed up right now with just some rapid fire questions, okay? This is going to be quick. You know what? I don't even have your attention. I already lost half of my crew. Don't make me come back there, guys. The first set of questions are going to be just rapid fire, single word answers, unless I tell you it's an entire sentence. And we're going to start from Paul's side of the room, okay? So I'm going to ask you the question, you're going to answer it, and immediately we're going to pass it over to Lisa, and so on and so forth, okay? So, first question, flight or invisibility?
Invisibility.
Lisa, flight or invisibility?
Flight.
Definitely invisibility.
Brenda?
Invisibility.
Why?
Use the wrong mic. Come on. Invisibility.
There you go.
Flight.
Flight, why?
Invisibility's for bad things. Flight's for good things.
Okay, that's a good answer. All right, beautiful. Next question. We'll start from this side. Go from Colin and move it over to the other side, okay? If you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Is plants one thing?
Yes.
Plants.
All right, excellent.
Wine with ice, so the ice will be chewable.
Cable?
I was going to go with vodka, so yeah.
We'll accept it.
I like steak.
Whiskey.
The majority of you said alcohol. This isn't going very well for our community. And I can say personally, I'm disappointed nobody said vagina. But all right.
I was going to go for cock.
You were Cable was going to go for cock.
I was going to say pussy,
But I thought this was a family program.
It is not a family program. We're going to be cursing up a fucking storm for the rest of the show. So next question. We're going to start with Paul's side. What is your favorite principle?
Radical inclusion.
Somebody said fuck. Like they have to answer that question. Lisa, favorite principle?
Into my head, I definitely would say radical inclusion.
Cable?
Decommodification.
Brenda?
Don't hand me that. Participation.
Decommodification.
All right, 2 for decommodification. That's a hard one to say, by the way. All right, next one. Start from Colin's side. What is your favorite part of San Diego?
Favorite part of San Diego? I love my neighborhood, Normal Heights.
Okay, Brenda?
The people.
The people? Oh, all right. That's acceptable. Well done.
The people is my
Cable, favorite part of San Diego?
All of Uptown, North Park to Hillcrest.
You wanted a demographic.
Yes.
Wait, let me change that.
No. That's
Downtown.
no. I'm gonna accept the people. That was an impressive curveball. Lisa, go ahead.
My favorite part of San Diego would definitely be the sunsets.
She jumped on that one.
Ubiquitous Mexican food.
All right. Beautiful. In one sentence or less, Paul, how do you describe participation?
Getting up and doing things.
Lisa?
Devising a plan and following through with it.
Okay, well.
Figuring out how to do it while not sober.
Okay.
Becoming involved.
Never taking tools away from anyone.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
It's really warm in here.
All right, last rapid fire question. We're going to start from Colin's side. Would you describe me as hot or handsome?
You?
Oh, hot.
Okay. Me, yes.
Desirable.
Oh, okay. I'll accept it, even though it's not within the parameters. Cable?
Was swarthy an option?
It was not, but
Okay. No. Handsomely swarthy.
yeah, these are all doable.
Hot.
All right.
Caliente.
I was so waiting for one of you guys to just decide not to answer that so I could disqualify you and go down to only 4 questions. All right, so this next question is going to be for the different groups. We're going to start with group 1. Before the show, we divided up the groups into group 1 and group 2. Group 1 is Colin and Brenda. This is correct, right? And group 2 is Cable, Paul, and Lisa. And this is just to kind of break up some of the monotony. You're not really teams. You're still you're still in competition with each other. So, group 1. Yes, that's right.
Don't we want the date with Arash?
So, group 1. We're going to start with Colin in group 1, okay? This question is for you. What is the most positive thing this community has given you?
Yeah, it is a hard one. Let's see. So when I think after my first burn, I came back to San Diego and I thought I need to meet those people here. And I went to Splashdown afterwards and I met those people and they are my best friends.
Beautiful. I'm kind of thinking about kicking Colin off the show because he's got a much better radio voice than I do. So
You have a really sexy voice.
this is not.
I used to have a radio show on 88.7 KSPC The Space.
God damn it! Yes, that's right. We talked about this. Producer Meg, can we make sure Colin never gets on the show ever again? This is not okay.
Producer Meg promises to try.
Good Lord. All right, Brenda, what is the most positive thing this community has given you?
God, I had an answer. Now I just forgot it.
And it can't be whiskey, by the way.
Whiskey is bad answer.
A sense of belonging. It's like you come in and they accept you no matter what. You could be Cable with all his faults, or you could be Paul. Or you could be Colin with all of his attributes, and either way you're accepted.
He does have perfect hair.
He does.
My God, he's got a better radio voice and perfect hair? Bullshit. Okay, so group 2. This is going to be a different question for you guys, but it's similar enough. And we'll start with Cable since you're holding the mic. Apparently that's how you're going to win this debate. What do you see as being the most positive thing you've noticed that this culture has contributed to the lives of other people around you, not you personally?
Okay, not related at all to the previous question. No, I mean, I guess what I see when I see people coming into the culture, like, you know, there's sort of 2 paths. It's like either they become their best selves or they're tragically worse selves, and it you know, and I think, you know, part of when we see like new people come into the culture, some of us have been here for a while. We really have to sort of encourage those things that are best, because we've all been our worst at times, you know. So, you know, and I see people and like, you know, people have never picked up a tool, start building things, and, you know, people who have never had friends suddenly like become popular because they're weird, you know, and like that's awesome. You know, the fact that
Are you talking about me?
No, no, but the fact that, you know, like you can come from any background and make yourself anew here, you know, because you know, anyone who asks you what you do for a living in your like first 2 events is not going to be your friend for life. You know, like no one cares. They're what are you doing? What are you participating in? And like, and also what are you feeding me in that drink? So.
Beautiful. Lisa.
I have to agree with Cable. I think the culture has definitely changed my life 100%. I was kind of a lost soldier before I found the Burning Man scene, our culture. And now, like he said, I can be who I want to be. I can be the weird person I am, and I can be with total and true who I am and learn things and be responsible for them. So I learned how to pick up that tool and use it. I've learned how to teach myself how to do things. I've taken on community projects and really run with it. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have the trust and support of the community and just what this culture has given me over the years. And I don't know where I'd be without it.
Beautiful. Paul? You can clap for her if you'd like.
Everyone clap.
Everyone clap.
Honestly, I think the thing I love the most about what this community provides people is the opportunity to grow as human beings. It's when I first got involved, I would not have called myself an artist in any way. I would have been like, no, I can appreciate art in others, but I don't make art. That's something special that you have to have magic art powers to do. And now, yeah, no, I'm an artist. Everyone I know is an artist. Art is part of who you are. And it's something you grow into because this community gives you the opportunity, the encouragement, the fertile soil to grow. And the fact that eventually the more time you spend with artists, the more you want to make art.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you. All right. So next question. This is going to be for everybody. I'm just going to have everybody go through and answer one of these three options. And I want to know what you consider to be your leadership style. And we're going to give you guys three options. Okay. There is let's see if I'm reading this correctly, producer Meg. Authoritarian autocratic, which is you give specific directions on what, when, and how something is to be done. Okay. Option number 2 is participative. That's a weird word. Offer guidance and participate in the group and allow input. And then finally, there is delegative or laissez-faire, which is you offer little or no guidance and leave the decision-making to the group members. Okay? So we're going to start on this side of the group here. Colin, which one of these three do you think you fall into? And in one sentence, you can elaborate on that.
I'm a very reluctant leader, and so I tend to move around. My favorite is when I can delegate.
Mm-hmm. So delegative? Delegative. Okay, perfect. Right, I'm thinking about it.
I think I'm more authoritative. I have the vision of how I want a specific task done, but I'm also participating in getting it done.
Okay. Do as I tell you, but I'll also help you out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Cable?
Well, my better self is participative.
Participative?
Yeah. And some things, like when we build bars and stuff, there's a build group because I can't nail two things together for the life of me.
You're going way past the sentence, by the way.
Ends up being very delegative. So it's a combination there.
Okay, perfect.
Again, I have to agree with K-Ball that
Why don't you just marry him?
I think I'm all of them. It really depends on the situation and the situation that I'm in. In my role at the commissary, delegative. In my role in certain meetings, participative. In my role in certain things here at the collab, authoritative.
Perfect.
Is that one of them?
Okay,
Yeah.
that answers it. Paul?
Growing up, it was authoritative real fast.
Yeah, but
Paul, which one of the three are you?
I'm at my happiest when I get to be participative. I really prefer that to anything else. Authoritative is too much work for me, and that whatever laissez-faire one, nothing gets done. Delegative, whatever, nothing gets done.
You're probably correct. That's yeah. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to actually do our first timed question. So producer Meg is standing here with a timer. She's super psyched about this. She's been planning timing things all week. This has been the mission of her life. Yeah, this is true. So this is going to be in 2 minutes or less. If you choose to go to 2 minutes, you absolutely don't have to. I'm certain Cable will. But as soon as it gets to the 30-second mark, Meg is going to give a fist signal?
I'm going to give you the closed
She's going to give you the closed fist, and then at 2 minutes, we're just going to cut you off. Okay? So let's start with Paul's side of the room. 2 minutes or less. Describe one new project that you would like to see in our community.
One?
Only one.
I have been inspired for a really cool claw machine idea for the playa. That'd be a lot of fun to put together. As far as just in general for the community, I just want to see more community-driven art out there on the streets of San Diego. I said it in one of my comments online. I would really like to be able to navigate where I am based only on the visible public art.
Okay, so you don't know. Is the answer. Gotcha. Okay, Lisa, one new project you'd like to see?
Oh my gosh, 1,000 things just came into my head, but one new project that I would like to see, I'm assuming this pertains to SDCAP and the board, would be to have definitely more charitable and community, philanthropic support, more involved with sustainable living, kids, homeless, which I don't know if anybody's been to downtown San Diego recently, but it's a problem. And I'd really like to see the board participate in something like that, especially when we do have events that can generate the funds. And we can draw from some of those funds a portion to be set aside for this community or charitable philanthropic event.
Beautiful. Cable?
Well, so one of the things that I just recently started the process on is we're going to be doing a float or something similar for the Pride Parade this year. Be the first year that burners are going to like get together as a group. Burners have always like participated in tons of different ways, and like, you know, on the sidelines you see 10 different groups with burners in it, and I sort of like am looking forward to like coalescing that vision, because I mean, admittedly, like burners tend to be more in the 2 to 5 on the Kinsey scale rather than the 0s and 7s. So, you know, it seems like an appropriate place to put some community energy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Brenda?
I would like to see more community art-driven projects where if you're driving by, you say, oh my God, we did that, and involve the community with it. So they become part of it and we bring them in rather than exclude them.
Colin?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the large public outdoor art. Specifically, what I'd like to see is to create a tighter relationship with the La Jolla tribe, which is where Utopia is held. I'd like to see a call for proposals and then some grants for permanent structures that would serve Utopia, but also help the tribe to do things. Maybe a band shell or a walking bridge or something where we can feature burner art and have their buy-in.
Beautiful. So this, yeah, there we go. Wow, claps. Claps. Colin got the clap. All right. So that actually, yes.
Colin got the clap at your podcast recording?
I make zero promises about your sexual safety whenever you sit down for a recording with me. Shit happens. It very much will turn into a podcast orgy. We still haven't gotten to the hour yet. So that actually is the perfect transition, because now I wanted to ask everybody's opinion. And this is going to be for anybody who would like to start chiming in first, and it is not timed. How do you feel our relations with the tribe could improve if it needs improving? Overall, what holes do you see in that particular connection? Ooh, Lisa's raising her hands. She's excited about this one.
I definitely want to see more interaction with the tribe throughout the year. There was talks last year about going through and having our group go through and do a cleanup at the res, or more interaction with the tribes themselves and some of the people that live there, some of the kids that live there, clothing assistance, things like that. Just more interaction throughout the year other than here comes Utopia, that crazy thing that happens up on the hill. I want the tribe to know well in advance. If I ran into somebody on the street and said, hey, you know, I'm on the board for SDCAP. Oh my God, what you guys did for us at that one situation or whatever, that was so great. And more participation from a lot of their members at Utopia too would be kind of a cool thing, you know, but definitely want to see more stuff throughout the year, not just Utopia.
Beautiful. Brenda?
Oh, I got the mic. It's
yeah,
me.
You look like you were ready to start speaking.
I was ready. I was formulating my thoughts, but now I don't have time. I agree with Lisa. I think we need to be more involved with the reservation year-round. We need to educate them on what we do, that we're just not a bunch of friggin' ravers or hippies that come in and throw this wild party and go away. Yes, we leave the place better when we leave, hopefully, and I think we do. But I think if we educate them, then there won't be as many problems as we've had with them coming in, trying to say, what, you know, see what we're doing, interrupt things on sometimes not a great level.
What is it that you think their impression of us is right now?
Well, this is a true story. Swear to God, even though I don't believe in them.
Swear to non-God.
Okay, I swear to a non-God. I went to get
Hands
coffee one day before the event, and it was about 5 miles down the road. Went in, and he goes, oh, are you from around here? And I said, no, I'm here. You know, we're having a festival. He goes, this
is a random tribe member or somebody of official
This was a
capacity?
random tribe member in the store with me. Mm-hmm. And he said, and I told him, that I was here with a group and we were having an event at the reservation. And he goes, "Oh, that's a big rave that where everyone's just doing drugs and partying." And I said, "No, it's so much more than that." I said, "From the outside in, that might be what it looks like. But in reality, for the most part, it's not." And I sat there and had, Meg can tell you, I came back with cold coffee. I sat there. Yeah, she was sad.
Because of the cold coffee?
Yeah, I sat there for probably 30, 35 minutes explaining what our community is in my view. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like educating people.
What did you describe to him?
I told him that that we had planned this for months on end, and it's where we allow people to come in and express themselves in forms of art, dance, participation. And that, what else did I got? It was a long conversation, and it was months ago. Basically, I told him in my world, it's not just a party, because when I'm there, I don't party. I'm working. I'm making shit happen. And I wanted to let him know that it's not Electric Daisy Carnival. It's not, where a bunch of kids come in, throw off their clothes, have wild sex, and
there's absolutely grown-ups doing that.
Yes, no, but really, I mean, and I think that's a lot of what the view is. It's like, oh my God, here they are. They're getting wild. What are they going to do there? And maybe small parts of it are that, but not the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, Cable wants to clap. Nope.
Oh,
no,
no,
it doesn't
I
clap.
was just saying small, maybe medium.
Small, maybe medium.
Maybe medium.
Do you guys, does anybody else have input on that? Go ahead, Paul.
It's a lot of what has already been said, but again, you can ask Meg. She'll vouch for this. The very first time she dragged me to that crazy hippie party on the mountain, she wrote me into volunteering at the same time, and I came away from it at the end. I'm like, Meg, why aren't we doing more things on this reservation throughout the year? Why aren't we improving the situation? Why aren't we building them a ticket booth, a gate at, why aren't we, this was one I actually pointed out last year, why aren't we coming out here overnight 6 times a year doing the kind of deep cleaning of the space that we do pre-event?
So why aren't we?
The demooping. That is a good question. That is a question I would like to ask the event leads. They had a lot to do with that. That would have been the logical way for that to go, and the rest of the community. Why aren't we going out there and doing all of this?
Lisa. Lisa also has her hand up again.
To reiterate with you, Paul, I feel like as Utopia and as the board, I feel like it doesn't necessarily need to be up to the event leads when we go out there. It could be a board decision. We could get out there 6 days a week. We can have people who aren't involved with Utopia, people who are never even been to Burning Man, but they just so happen to know Cable or be his neighbor, and they're really interested in this. And they want to come out there or be my neighbor, or be my friend, and they want to come out there and do this. You don't have to be a burner. You don't have to be a Utopia person or anything. I could go out there right now and say, hey, I'd like to come here tomorrow and clean the res, and they'd say, go for it. And so I think that's what it is. It doesn't take the leads to tell us we can do this. I think as a board, we can make those decisions.
Hold on, Paul, 1 second. Brenda wanted to say something on that, and then we'll go back to you.
We donate so much time and energy to putting this event on. I mean, months and months and, 15 hours per day. It would take nothing for us to go in there, 1 week in a month, maybe 1 weekend every other month, do a clothing drive for these kids. Do more than just, clean up the reservation. Go into where, I haven't seen where they live. I haven't seen their houses, but I'm sure, if it's, God, and I hate to generalize or stereotype, but if it's like most reservations, it's dismal. Mm. We could bring our, paint brushes, whatever. They're playgrounds. It's practical. They have a couple swings and a slide. We need to do more for them so that they, I guess the best word I can think of is respect us more. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, right now they just think we're a bunch of fucking party goers coming in.
Yeah.
And they need to see that we're more than that.
Paul?
I just wanted to say very quickly, Absolutely. We as individuals can and should be going in and making lives better for all kinds of communities. My idea for why the event leads would have been involved is synergy. You know, there's a lot of site visits throughout the year, combine that site visit with a site visit / demooping / team building camp out.
Yeah. So then that actually is the question that I wanted to ask. How much of this falls on SDCAP to create this better relationship with the tribe? In your opinion, if you guys win the positions and you're on there, is this going to be something that you would be pushing for? Where are you at? Colin, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I wanted to get more involved in talking with the tribe. It's actually very small. There's about 175 enrolled members, and I was discouraged from doing that about 3 years ago by the board because they wanted to have a primary point of contact. I'd like to revisit that with the board in the future and try to figure out what makes sense, so that we can encourage the community to delegate that some and to allow more connection to happen.
What was their reasoning for needing one single primary contact?
It was, contract negotiation was going on, and there were some touchy points, and the things that I wanted to deal with at the time, I don't even remember, but it was a little contentious, and they thought it would be better if everything was handled centrally at that point.
Sure.
And then it sort of fell off my radar, and it's on me after that.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I imagine happens every year. There are contract negotiations happening. You don't want one person going in there and saying something different than the other person. There's a lot sort of at stake.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this would very much be a question for all of you guys as well. Anybody who can chime in on this. How do you balance something like that? Do you have any ideas on how you would approach something like that in order not to create legal issues while we're creating better relationship with the tribe?
I think it's two totally separate issues. You can be doing contract negotiations, and you can still go in and make the place better. You don't need to, in fact, you don't even need to be a board member to do that. But I think with the board behind it, it gives it more weight. It gives it more legitimacy, and you might get more participation. You can separate the two. You don't have to go in there and say, oh, by the way, I'm going to, help spruce this up, but I want a better rate for this. It doesn't have to be married.
Does anybody disagree with that? That the board should be at all involved with communications with the tribe?
I think that the board should be involved. I think that the question should go to them like, hey, this is what I'd like to do. But I think if presented properly to the board, whoever the board may be, it's something that could go over very well as long as it's established what your conduct is supposed to be like while on site, the types of things you're supposed to talk about while on site, and what you're going to accomplish while there. Okay. And if you get there and you choose to do it in a pink tutu with 10 people in pink tutus, or you tend to go out on a float in a gay pride parade and do your trash pickup or whatever, that could be up to you. But all those things need to be mentioned. Yeah, parameters, but not so much, no, you can't do this because someone else over here is doing this.
Cable's taking a mic.
Yeah, I've just been a little quiet on this one, simply because I don't know what our relationship is with the tribe.
Sure.
I think there's so many communities in San Diego that we can cross-interact with. I'm not going to limit it to the tribe itself. I think, part of doing the float in the Pride Parade is, that's a certain community that we can communicate with. The Figment is speaking to the community over there, and and the tribe is another one. So there's all these things, and I think the role of the board is not necessarily to lead on all of these things, but to find those people within the community who want to lead those things and to find a way to support them. Some of it monetarily. We do have money. The board is not a poor board. It's not a rich board, but it's there is money for things to happen. So, if we want to find those members of the community who are motivated to make those outreach, I think that's part of what I would like to see the role of the board be more, rather than us going out and necessarily, 9 of us having a cleanup weekend in every different city in San Diego County. It's they all deserve it.
Yeah.
And all the homeless people need help too. But you really need people who are going to lead each initiative.
Yeah, and that's actually the next question that I did want to ask, but I just want to hit on Utopia one last time before we move on to that. But that's an excellent point. What do you guys envision? Well, you know what? Actually, let's go back to the thing that Cable's saying, and then we'll go back to it. It'll make more sense. How much should the board be focusing on things like Utopia? What do you see as the role of the board as a member when you're in that position? Which way are you going to push it? Or how much involvement do you want in day-to-day decisions, such as what Cable was describing? Brenda, go ahead.
Utopia.
No, just in general, based on just sort of what Cable was describing right now, as far as like, what is the role of the board? When you're in there, how much decision-making should be under the influence of the board as far as what the community is doing as a whole?
Well, I think they have to define what they want to accomplish first. You just don't go in and, you can bring a lot of different ideas to the table, and then you decide where you want to focus your main, resources on. And being a nonprofit, we have vast resources. We can get to go in and spruce up communities. We can ask for corporate sponsorships. We're not limited anymore. Mm-hmm. Yes, we are limited with Utopia because it's a regional event, so we can't have that sponsors. But as far as going into the community, our resources are unlimited, and we need to tap into those.
Mm-hmm. So your feeling is more that the board really should roll up the sleeves and get involved in a lot more day-to-day things.
Day-to-day, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, why not?
Got it. Paul?
Respectfully, Brenda, I kind of disagree. I thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank God,
well,
finally.
We'll talk about that later.
I was waiting for somebody to disagree. For the love of God, we're in a debate.
I respectfully disagree. I think the board really should be attempting to set up operations that, for the most part, run themselves. Should they have oversight from the board? Should the board be watching to make sure that things don't get out of hand and need to have their course corrected? Yes, but Utopia should, at this point, it's been going on for how long now? It is at the point where what the board should be doing is picking the people who are going to run the event and letting the event run itself. They don't need to step in every 10 minutes to tell them, no, you need to run volunteers this way.
And I don't think they have. And I've been volunteering for Utopia DCOM for 7 years. I think they need to step in when there is a major issue in front of them, i.e. Shuttlegate.
Well, so and that one's dear to my heart, but I'm sure that might show up. Utopia is a special beast because that is our community fundraiser for the year. That funds everything that we're going to do for the year. So I think that one deserves a certain amount of active oversight that some of these other things that actually might not be fundraisers, might be outlays that we're going to be okay. But, we need to make sure that Utopia works and it works for the community that it's representing.
And I absolutely agree with you on that, Cable. What I was getting at was Utopia as more or less an example of an event that requires the oversight of the board and the occasional stepping in, but that for the most part runs itself. And I think that is the kind of setup that the board should be attempting with all of their new endeavors. The first couple of years, they got to shepherd it. They got to help it grow into the kind of thing that can run itself. But the goal should really be after a year or two, they really don't have to step in all that often. For the most part, the program runs itself with them watching over it to make sure nothing goes wrong.
Do you feel, Paul, that too many people are stepping in from the board right now?
At the moment, for any particular question,
for Utopia specifically,
I think we have just gone through a very contentious period in Utopia. The process of selecting the new leads was long and protracted and had a lot of animosity on either side. I was definitely biased for it. But as far as general intervention goes, it can be argued that last year we didn't see enough of it. Shuttlegate happened, and it was awful. And that is really kind of the thing that the board maybe should have been paying more attention to, because it wasn't the same old that we've been doing for however many years. It was a brand new concept, and it really needed more oversight than it got.
Okay. So Shuttlegate can Brenda, since you were there,
I was there.
why don't
front
you,
and center.
yes, right up front and center. For the listeners who might be a little bit confused about Shuttlegate, can you give a quick 2 to 3 sentence breakdown on what happened?
A policy was in place that everyone would be able to bring their vehicles in, unload, and then get the hell out. Move their cars.
Yeah. So they would unload by the shuttles and then go park their cars in the
No, they would go into the event, unload their stuff, move their car. Then it was determined after sunset, people would have to take the shuttles in. What happened was the gate got so overwhelmed during the day that they just arbitrarily shut it down. And everybody was rerouted onto the shuttles. And so, it made for not only chaos, but anarchy at the gate. I'm not done yet. I've got to
Quiet, Cable.
You know what? If the gate had worked more closely with city planning, we had people on the I think they shut the gate down Thursday around noon, was it? I could be wrong on the time. However, when I went up to the gate, Meg sent me up to the gate and said, you know what? Handle that shit, and I had all of the rest of our crew on the ground in constant radio communication saying, how's our situation? And everyone's going fine. But the gate wasn't listening to me. And so we could have brought more people in, but it was just, at that point, a decision had been made and it was, pardon my French, but fuck you. This is how we're doing it. And that's where it frustrated me personally. I took it upon myself in those threads on in the Burning Man group to, say, hey, this is what happened. Everyone's going, oh, you're not in a position of authority, shut the fuck up. And it's like, no, I was on the ground. And I just think that if the board had stepped in, when this plan came in, it's like, okay, you make this, you better stick to it, and you make it work with your teams. If we had all been working together, I don't see that problem happening, but it didn't.
Okay. Well, thank you. By the way, thanks for breaking that down. And number 2, can you please watch your fucking language from now on the show?
Arash,
All right.
Arash.
Paul, yes.
Amen, Brenda. I was on that team. I know. Actually, for that matter, so were you, Arash, and producer Meg. We were all on that team. We all know how bad it went.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. A big chunk of that event is a blur for me. And it's not because of any drinking or anything. It is, So, Lisa, yes.
I kind of want to just touch on the original question, which I believe was how much emphasis should the board be putting on Utopia and on other events? Yes, like Cable said, Utopia is the main staple and the main financial force for SDCAP, but I don't see why there couldn't be somebody on the board who took that position upon themselves, became like their community liaison, became the person who created certain events throughout the year. The event leads can focus on Utopia. Let them do the job that's been laid out before them over many, many years, many trial and errors. And we can still create other avenues throughout the year that SDCAP can be involved and the community can be involved to help raise funds for SDCAP if need be, get our name out there, participate with the res. So personally, if I had to put it in percentage-wise, I think it should be about 80-20. Right now, I think it's like 100, maybe 98.
Sure.
I think it should be a little less of just focus, Utopia. Some people just do that be their job, and the rest someone else could be like a liaison, so to speak.
So, Colin, I know you want to say something on this, but just real quick, since we were on the subject of Shuttlegate, there was some discussion about the board should have done something about that. What could the board have done in that situation while it was happening? Yeah.
Well,
that's exactly, because that was kind of insinuated that the board should have been on top of that. But how could the board have done something?
I feel like, so the people who were leading the event were in the event, and they probably didn't get a good sense of what was happening. I sort of feel like, if a board member had stepped up as people were coming into the event and saw what was going on and commandeered some people to fix the gate or to take when I came in at about 2:00 in the afternoon, and I finally made it to the front of the gate about 3:00 or 5:00 in the afternoon. And that entire time, I didn't see anyone with any authority working the gate. And I feel like, if I understand there's all these things going on, and the leads were spread thin. They had other fires they were putting out. And so I'm not really trying to assign blame to this, but I'm saying, with a board person with some authority can walk up there and make people, get a radio, get a Kubota, get some things happening there, get more than oh my God, I saw the sweetest little sparkly elf with wings, enter me, and it was like someone had gone up behind her and broke her wings, and she was she was just I'm so sorry, I really, and that's not how the entry to Utopia should be, but she didn't have anyone to do, and I was like, can I talk to someone? And she's like, we don't have a radio up here, we don't have anything, and then I was like, well, maybe if we could do 2 lanes here, and she was like, we don't have another ticket machine. There was all these things that could have been.
So just for clarification, then, and this is what I do want you guys. But this is the answer I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
We're talking about Shuttlegate, and it's a very specific thing. But the answer I'm trying to get to is that who feels that in that situation, someone from the board should step in and take over from the leads? Brenda.
I strongly feel someone from the board should have been up there and taken charge.
Okay.
And started directing.
It doesn't have to be the specific situation, just in general. If
In general,
shit goes,
I don't care
shit hits the fan,
what
board
the
members should step in.
situation is. If things are turning into a shit show, you step up, because ultimately this is your shit show.
Yes. Paul.
Brenda, you know I love you on this one. And again, I hate having to disagree somewhat. But at Utopia, I probably only knew half of the board members by sight. Which means that Jen, who is in the room with us right now, no offense, had you walked up to me and said, I am commandeering you to close the gate, I would have been like, who the heck are you? Call Meg. Meg can commandeer me, not you. Therein lies the problem. What the board should have done is paid more attention to the community outcry, a lot of which was coming from Cable, about how this really doesn't look like you have a plan in place. What is the plan? That's where the board should have stepped in before the event even took place.
Before the event, the impression was that they did have a good system in place. I mean, they didn't really know that it was going to go to shit. I'm sorry, Lisa, grab the mic, please.
I mean, it's the first time that they've done it like that. How would they know?
Hindsight is 2020.
And I feel like as a board member, number one, there's always some sort of plan happening in place at Utopia for all these things. So for me to just walk up there and be like, I'm Lisa, I'm on the board, and I demand you do this and you do that and you do that. First of all, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. Second of all,
a lot of volunteers don't know who you are.
Maybe those leads that are in charge of this event, who have worked so hard, have a plan happening, and I'm going to come up and mess it all up because I'm hoity-toity Lisa from the board. Makes no sense.
Well, no, and the goal is not to commandeer the leads. If there's an actual lead working the system, then let them work the system and give some input. But the fact is, there was no one with any authority at the gate. And, and if there's no one of authority, step into that authoritative position. It's like, I was just happy to, be able to drive my stuff in. Because that's the other part that really disappointed me about it, was, if people plan their event around being able to get into the gate and go to the, and drive into their camp. Do you know how much shit people bring to their Burning Man or their decom camps?
Yeah, let's not get started on how many bins people are bringing in.
Right, no. I mean, I literally, I know my house is, half empty when I leave, and I have a Honda Fit with things strapped to it, and, I almost leave my boyfriend. I'm like, yeah, sorry, we can't take you. It was like...
So, Colin, you actually had something to say on this subject.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a little bit of the opposite. I really don't think the board should have much to do with this at all. I think the board is in an advisory position for Utopia, and once we've selected the leads, there's a certain amount of making sure that things financially, insurance-wise, paperwork-wise are taken care of. But I'm really into the delegate and trust mode. And I really think that if you can reach out with advice, you can act like a board of directors, right? But you're not an executive in that part of it. And I really would not be comfortable. I also think our time is better spent elsewhere as a board than on utopia planning.
No, that's perfect, because that is the question I'm trying to get at. Let's not talk about the very specific thing that happened at a very specific event. In some future situation, shit hits the fan. Every single one of you is now a board member. And in that situation, do you believe that you should step forward and take charge? Yes or no? Colin, I know your answer is no.
No, my answer is not no. My answer is I already do it, but I just do it as a person.
Okay.
I get out there and start directing traffic when traffic is messed up, but I don't do it as a board of directors.
Okay. Let me go around the room to get this answer. I'm sorry, we're going to get to you in just a second.
Whoa, I got two
Brenda.
mics. I love it.
Everybody's sticking things in your face, Brenda.
I think there are certain situations where you have to step in.
But do
You want me to expand?
Do you step in as a board member and take charge of the situation?
I step in no matter what, okay? It doesn't, you know what? That's my personality. I step in, and again, I know you don't want to focus on Shuttlegate, but when Meg sent me up to the gate, it was like, this is how we're going to do it. And they didn't give a shit who I was speaking with authority, and I knew, I had a plan, and so they listened.
Okay. But do you understand, though, that as a board member, because we're looking in the future right now, when you step up there to do that, and this goes for you as well, Colin, you're going to be seen as board members stepped in and took over.
Right.
Not
and
as
I want to be a do-ocracy. It's like, I can get it. Yeah. If I have to get it done, I'll get it. Yeah.
Okay. So your feeling is that a board member should step in, and that is going to be something that will reflect on the rest of the board. That's okay, by the way. There's no wrong answer. Okay. Colin, you're saying that you would step in as well regardless.
Oh, yeah, but not as a board member. I make it really clear. When I'm doing board member things, I have pants on. And when I don't have pants on, I am not a board member.
Gotcha. Cable?
It really is hard, because you do like, describe this line very well. Like, the thing is, there's a certain amount of responsibility that we have as the board to make sure this thing doesn't get screwed up. And as an individual, like when I came in, all I'm trying to do is get my car to my camp and, get your party on. Well, not even get my party on. I'm just like, I don't have, like, if I'm suddenly going to pull over, like, I have no authority with the people involved. But if I can, if coming in, or like in a situation, like, if I can have more authority by being a board member and making that clear, and that is part of my responsibility to make sure that this event doesn't turn to shit, then yeah, I'll do it. But I agree, like, if everything's going fine, I'm not going to step into and step on anyone's job. But if I see a job not being done, those people theoretically are reporting to the board. And if the job isn't being done, I mean, I'm not going to fire someone on the spot, but the idea is that
you're fired. I don't even get paid.
I'm not afraid of calling someone out on a poor job.
Sure.
And I'm fully respectful of all the complications of doing that job. It's not an easy job. So I don't know.
Gotcha. So you would step in. The answer is you would. Okay. Lisa.
Speaking as someone who does run a department within Utopia, I could tell you right now, if shit was hitting the fan in my department and Brenda or Colin or Cable walked up with a decision outside of the scope of what I was already planning or what my emergency plan is, I would flip out.
Okay.
And I think as board members, what we need to do is ensure that these groups, these teams, these leaders have an exit plan, an emergency plan. So, Gate, this year, what happens if Shuttlegate happens again? What's your plan? And make sure that they have that plan in place. We're giving them a job. My boss doesn't follow me around every day at my job to make sure I get my job done. He gave me the job because he trusts I can do the job right. And he hired me among some other people to get this job done right. And I think as the board, we should let these people do their job. And I know during Shuttlegate, I was right down by Hub, and I can hear the things going on, the talk, the planning, the preparing, the what can we do? And for me to go and step in there would just be a mess. That's one more person with another freaking idea. Like, it's just doesn't make sense. No, because you know what? They've been planning the gate for so long. They know how those ticket machines work. Are we going to go to every single leaders meetings this year? Every group or every team's leads, every department leads meetings to find out what their plans are? I don't think so. What we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to pick these people, these leaders, and then those leaders are going to pick other leaders based on their qualifications. And I think that the best thing to do is, as a board member, especially if you're there just as a participant and you're not running a department like we were last year or whatever, you just got to sometimes take a step back. Sometimes my bosses, they wouldn't know my job if they had to.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know what to do if they came into my shitstorm. I got to fix it. And that's part of growing. That's part of learning. I can guarantee you, if the same people are in charge of gate this year, that's going to be something they're going to look at first.
Okay. You wouldn't step in. Perfect. No. Hell no. Paul.
I mean, if
Well, you're a board member. It's
babies are on fire, maybe.
Yeah. If babies are on fire. Okay. Babies catch on fire all the time. Paul.
All right, I have to say I'm probably somewhere between Colin and Brenda on this. Here's the thing. First off, I'm already going to be wearing a hat at Utopia because I can't imagine going to that event and not volunteering.
You're wearing a hat right now.
I am wearing a hat right now. It says
green.
vote for Paul.
Does it say that? I didn't even see that. Let me see.
Keep
He's
SDCAP
campaigning.
elections janky, Brenda.
Wait till you see my picture of my slogan.
So I'm already going to be a volunteer. That means I already have a place in the organizational structure of the event. And guess what? There is an org chart for this event.
Yeah.
If there is an event that is so potentially catastrophic for the board, like I am personally liable to see a lawsuit as a result of this, am I going to step in? Absolutely. How am I going to do that? I'm going to call the event leads and tell them unacceptable.
Okay. So what
That's
you would
how
do
I'll-
though, so what you're saying your answer is that you would go to the event leads. Guys, if we could please.
I will follow the chain of command as far down
Gotcha.
as it takes to get the system, or as far up as it takes to get the system done.
You're going to get on
I
the
would like
leads.
to start at the event leads. Actually, I don't. I want to start at whoever the officially sanctioned board SDCAP of Utopia liaison is. Tell them, oh my God, please go talk to the event leads right now.
Perfect.
That actually, as a board member, should be the end of it unless I am said liaison.
Beautiful. All right. We
Is
got to
there-
did that.
Wait, I have a question. Is there a I'm sorry, I know you're out of time. I didn't even know there was a liaison for in between the board, you know. Okay. No clue. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. All right. So next question is going to be 2 minutes or less. And this is going to be for everybody.
I need a real cigarette. Do we need a break?
No. The last discussion, guys, the last discussion was really perfect because it really, I think, gave the listeners and potential voters a lot of insight as to what your decision-making process is. So you either totally helped yourself out or shot yourself in the foot. So the next question is going to be 2 minutes or less.
Thank you for the ball joke.
I'm gonna start with Paul. Paul, I want you to tell us how do you determine what takes priority in any in your duties as a board member in the future?
Triage is tricky. For me, I am going to say that things that are time sensitive, that have to have an answer by a specific point in time, and that time is approaching quickly, that's first priority. Second, after that, is anything that affects the money or affects our legal status in one way or another. And then finally, after that, is making the mission go.
Beautiful. Lisa?
I got distracted by the shiny stuff on Paul's hat. Can you repeat the question?
I missed a question.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the shiny stuff on Paul's hat. Are we doing a podcast? The question was, how do you determine what takes priority?
Wow. Again, it's situationally based. I'm one of those people that can't live life by set rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Everything has a situation, a time, and a place. So if it came to a certain, like a situation like whatever we're calling it now, Inflategate, whatever.
Cablegate.
If we're talking about that, my decision making is to find out what decisions are going on, who's going to follow these out, when is it going to get followed out. So it kind of follows along his structure. It's along the lines of the who, what, when, where, and how. But my decision-making process is to find out what's wrong, figure out a plan, make it happen.
Okay. Cable?
Yeah. Yeah. It made me think a little bit about like how I work at work. It's like there's these problems that just have to be dealt with. Everyone's like, okay, and as you're saying, like legal status and stuff, things like that. They just got to be dealt with, and so you got to deal with those first. But then after that, a lot of it just comes like who's interested in what. Like for me, like I'm going to give the most energy and effort to the things that interest me. Like and like I actually like I work in IT and stuff, and so like I'm like the entire like web stuff's been a mess for a decade with this, but it's like it's something that I can like throw my like skills into and be like, okay, now maybe we can like work on this and figure it out, or or working with other communities. That's like the thing that I'm really interested in. So that's where I'm going to devote my energy, and then hopefully other people are going to devote their energy into other like groups, like and then as a group we've covered all the bases.
Yours would be community.
Yeah.
No. Okay, Brenda.
Wait, she said I was going to have a different question. I don't want this question.
Well, it's too bad. You're getting this one.
Okay, wait, what? Thanks for lying, Mag. Okay, Mag, you're... He's...
Off the rails.
All right, can you read? All right,
we did promise you guys it's going to be off the rails right as soon as we started recording.
Well, I need you to repeat the question because 3 people have answered before me, and I've
How
lost track.
do you determine as a board member what takes priority?
I'm going to agree with whoever said it's situational, but all right, Lisa, I'm going to give shout out to Lisa for situational. Whoop whoop. I would say that first would be anything that is regulatory. Filing taxes, that's a priority. Second would God, I hate this question. At least I'm honest. I think it depends on what's in front of you, because there are some things like you can take more time with, and some it's immediate. It just depends on the situation and the legalities involved behind it.
Okay, perfect. Colin.
I like Cable's answer a lot. And hey, look, I'm really kind of a slow person, and that lets me operate on a long time scale and think about infrastructure and long-term planning. And I think that it's really hard to do in this community. We tend to be very reactionary. We tend to get excited about shiny things. And I'm really looking forward to trying to take a longer-term look at it.
Beautiful. I'm sorry. I think we were all looking at Paul's hat. Everybody missed the answer. Yeah, the hat is awesome. All right. Next question. We're going back. We're back on the rails, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you've noticed. This next question is going to be 3 minutes or less. And we're going to start on this side of the room. Colin, if you could change one thing about burner culture or our local community, what would it be, and how would you do it?
It's sort of an impossible question, right?
And you have 3 minutes. Go.
One thing. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to my least favorite principle here, and it's leave no trace. I think that leaving a trace is one of the best things we can do, and that doesn't mean leaving trash around. It means building. And, we're sitting here in CoLab, and I'm looking around, and the trace that's left has been amazing. There's a refrigerator in the corner that came out of my house when I was tearing it apart. And it's like it's been utopian, but that's the kind of trace that I didn't want that to disappear from my life. We build this stuff and we want it to be bigger and better. Yeah. So, I think it made a lot of sense for the big thing in the desert to leave no trace. And it's really a mistake for our local community.
Beautiful. I'm not sure if Brenda's actually paying attention to anything I've been saying during the podcast.
I'm ADD.
It's okay. If you could, she has been drinking. Thank you, Cable, for bringing that bar.
I'm sober.
Yes. So, Brenda, if you could change one thing about burner culture or our local community, what would it be?
participation, and that's in our local culture. I feel everybody wants to come to the party, and yes, coming is participating, but so is making it happen. That's what I'd change.
Okay.
Way
You
under
want more
3
volunteers.
minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I mean, and I think related to that, I think there's, like in the last couple of years, we've gone from, events of 500 people to events of 1,000 to now events of over 3,000. And I think we definitely have an acculturation issue where we are not actually bringing the people in and teaching them the culture. So what they get, they're coming from other festival cultures that may be focused more on drugs and music and things, and we're not doing a really good job of teaching them the ways of the burner, So, I feel that's something that we could definitely work on, and I think by limiting the growth of the event for the next couple of years, I think what we can do is we can take those people who we've brought in and really sort of seep them into the culture, because they've been once and they realize that it's different than every other festival they've been to. Mm-hmm. And maybe if they come a second and a third time, they're going to be different people than they were the first time they came.
Beautiful.
I think that there's a lot of stigmata around the culture. Like, I'm sure it's been touched on about, drugs and this and that.
Stigma.
Whatever.
That was
Stig puka. Who cares?
Yes. Please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, you know what? I agree.
Yeah. Lisa's trying to answer the question, ladies and gentlemen. Shush. Back to Lisa.
I'm not embarrassed at all. Am I red? No, I don't care what you say. I'm not a vocabulary person, so who cares? I think there is a lot of misconception around burners, the Burning Man culture. I, for years, have lied to my employer about what I do during that time. I know for a fact that if I were to tell my boss I was going to Burning Man, she would Google it and see these types of things. And you may see some good things and you may see some bad things. She's going to focus on those bad. She's going to think that her high-paid person who's controlling her money is going to be out in the desert, high on drugs, naked, having sex with everybody. And I feel like that I would love to be able to go to my boss. I'd love to be able to tell my grandma, who's like crazy about that kind of stuff, and be able to say, yeah, and have them support me. My parents have never supported me on it. My mom, a little bit. My dad thinks that my dad's hardcore army, thinks it's a ridiculous waste of my time. But man, if I could just get them there to see the possibility. If there was a nuclear bomb that went off on the whole planet and the only people that were left on the world was people at Burning Man, I swear it'd be better than it is now. I mean, we're a get or done type of community, and, I go to festivals and I see, you're over here struggling to get your tent. Everyone who's walking by will stop, drop, and come help you. My neighbor has been building his fence and struggling. He's an old man. I haven't gone to help him either because I feel like I don't have the know-how, but he has a younger man who lives with him who doesn't help him. And it's like, man, I just wish that we could get that culture out and let people know that we're not a bunch of druggies and a bunch of hippies or whatever. There's business people and there's a large sober influx at Burning Man. And there's a sober camp devoted to these people. So
better PR is
there's sober camps.
Yeah, better PR.
But I think that it needs to be changed in that direction.
Okay. Paul?
First, I'd just like to take this opportunity to say that all of my fellow candidates suck. Every time one of them has answered, it has caused me to go, God, that's a better answer than I have. So you all suck. That being said,
I agree that you all suck.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
I just want to make them feel
on my
better,
side.
guys.
So that being said, I'm inclined to say that it is a creeping sense that there is a burner on the weekend mentality going around for large portions of the community. That burning is something you do at the festival. It's not something you do in your everyday life. I actually spoke to this at Utopia now that I stop and think about it. But it's the idea of bringing the burn home with you, of living your everyday life in an attempt to get closer and closer to the 10 principles. You'll probably never get there because I'm not sure I would even want to live that life every single day, but you know what I mean? Like just the act of trying to get there. So
Just Larry Harvey trying to come up with something to put on a tablet.
yeah, it's totally just Robo Leader. So I love him.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're getting down to a list of 3-minute questions, and these are going to be going out. I'm sorry, you'd like a break? Let's go and take a break. Let's cut it off for a second.
Yay, break!
I'm sweating balls and I don't even have balls.
You don't even have
It's kind of hot in here.
It's
Yeah.
so hot in here.
You are tuned in to Burner Podcast.
Do we have everybody? We're recording? All right, guys, we are back on live. Not actually live.
we
Cable's
sitting on
drunk.
time?
We totally didn't drink during the break.
No. I put the crack pipe down, right?
Oh, good,
As you
good.
can see, I'm furiously lacking in beauty sleep, and I need every minute I can.
It was asked of me to talk about what we talked about on the break. Should we talk about what was on the break?
Absolutely.
Paul,
Arash.
we talked about your ball, which
We
looked like a
talked about his
hamburger.
ball.
For the moment,
I really
Yes.
want to see your ball.
it's healing.
Paul's ball is hearing. All right. So, guys, let's get back into this real quick. So we're going to go through some of these questions.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, my God. Paul is taking out his ball on the podcast, and he's dropping his pants, whipping out his ball. It is an audio show.
That's a lot of bandage.
Oh my God, we are live looking at
We're looking
Paul's
at Paul's
balls.
ball, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, your future leaders of the community are now taking pictures of Paul's surgical ball. All right.
That's the sponge.
That's
That's the sponge, Cable.
Oh, dear God. All right.
Well, I'm proud to know.
All right. Everybody quiet. We're going to get back into the show.
Paul's ball is black.
This is just a disaster.
I love it. I have a picture.
Do a spit take.
I have a picture.
By the way, Brenda, is a sponge.
No, I don't think so.
You've got a black neck.
Okay. All right. Everybody shut the fuck up. We're going to get back into the show, please. And Brenda has a picture of Paul's ball. All right. Everybody,
I'm pretty sure that's against the TOS.
I'm about to disqualify 2 of you. We're starting. We are recording, dear God. I'm going to leave all that in, by the way. That's wonderful. All right. So this one is going to be bouncing back and forth to a couple of different people, okay? And I will basically point at you, and I'm going to ask you the question, and you may have the same question come back to another person. So there's no guarantee that as soon as one person has answered it, it's done. So be ready to answer. The first question, what is your stance on paid positions and why? You have 3 minutes or less to answer this question. Brenda.
Fuck, why do I always have to start first?
Because you were the one taking the longest to get ready, and now I'm going to punish you.
I took a picture. I get that. Paid positions, no. You do this because you're committed and you want to make a difference, and I don't feel you should be compensated.
Okay. Next question. When is a closed-door meeting justified? Lisa.
A closed-door meeting is justified when there are topics that pertain directly to the board, such as legal issues, financial issues, and mainly that. I personally think that community members should be allowed to come to majority of the meetings for most parts of the meetings. And I myself have left meetings because it was closed. Never had a problem with it. They're a board. They've been trusted with this position, and I'm going to trust that they are closing this meeting for a specific reason, and I'm not in a position to need to know. So,
Beautiful. When is classification of information as a whole justified? Paul.
When it puts the board in a legal position. If today, going around the forums, there was a question about what the board should do in the event of allegations of sexual assault at Utopia. During the part where the board is looking into it and calling the police if they deem it necessary, and during an ongoing police investigation, they should absolutely not comment with names. That should be behind closed doors, because the board is legally actionable if they release the information about who and what and when, and then it turns out not to have been something that happened.
Okay. Cable, what is your stance on paid positions and why? 3 minutes or less.
Yeah, I'm generally against him. I think. I mean, I've thought about it, and it is an immense amount of work that like the leads put into the job, and especially in the months just prior to the event. So I'm not 100% opposed to there being maybe a stipend for that period. Overall, though, I think we are a volunteer-run event. We're and there's not that much money left over from the event that we can really be like paying everyone what they're really worth. So I mean, I'm leaning towards against it, but I'm not 100% of one mind.
Okay. When is a closed-door meeting justified? Colin.
I have a lot of trouble thinking of a situation. I can see specifics that you may not want to talk about with the public, but an entire meeting, I have trouble envisioning it.
Okay. When is classification of information as a whole justified? Brenda.
I'm picking pennies out of my bra. Hold on. Oh, sorry.
For real, let's actually
Okay, pennies from heaven.
Okay, wait. Let me get up. When is it?
When is classification of information as a
Vote
whole
Brenda.
justified?
When it's of a legal nature that does not pertain to the community at large.
Okay. How can the board best communicate with the community at large? Paul.
At the moment, the platform that we have available for the widest dissemination of information possible is Facebook. It is a incredibly unideal platform for a number of reasons. It's easy to ignore. It has a lot of problems, but right now it's the best solution that we have. And until one of us, I guess, creates a better platform, it's what we've got.
Back to me tomorrow.
Same question, Lisa? Ooh, that just deflated her.
I just don't want to. Yeah, I would have to agree with Paul. Facebook would be a forum, but the new board could come up with a better way. There's new people, new ideas. There could be a better way. There could be, Nicole Hickman, who is our regional contact, very strong member of the community. She gets the info out, and she goes on every group, every platform, not just the SDCAP platform. Some people may miss it. But when you're reaching all of the platforms, reaching all of the groups, reaching all the people, I think Facebook is a necessary evil. It's part of everybody's life. My grandma has Facebook. So it's just the only way. Emails, it is hard to ignore. Our emails get full of Twitter today junk and all this stuff. And it's like Facebook, I think, is going to be the way. And I feel like without Facebook, some of the things that we've touched on in the last couple of days as far as the Q&A, we wouldn't have been able to do that without Facebook or without social media. So I have to agree with social media, I guess, not necessarily Facebook.
Right.
Okay, perfect segue. Are you obligated to answer every question that people post on Facebook? Colin.
Yeah, I don't think I'm obligated to answer anything that's on Facebook ever.
All right, fair enough. Same question, Brenda.
Although I do answer every one of them because I have nothing better to do all day. In fact, today I believe it was Lisa who said, I have to answer this? And I said, hell no, you don't. You can pick and choose what you want to answer. It's it's social media.
Mm-hmm. All right, this question is going to go for everybody. We're going to start on Colin's side. What do you feel are the basic requirements of representing the San Diego community? 3 minutes or less.
You mean representing as a board member?
Yes.
So one of the ones that I've been bringing up over and over again is, and it sounds straightforward, but regular in-person attendance at the meetings, I think, should be a requirement. That doesn't mean that somebody can, necessarily has to live in San Diego, and I understand remote attendance happens from time to time. But it's disruptive, and I really think that having in-person regular attendance is critical. Past that is somebody who's willing to devote the time, is interested, has something to contribute, and the community thinks would represent them well.
Okay.
That comes in a lot of different flavors.
Ice cream. Brenda.
I'll be chocolate. Do you like chocolate?
Which one of you will be cookies and cream? What do you feel are the basic requirements for representing the San Diego community?
Presence. I feel it's imperative that you are immersed in the San Diego community and are available to attend meetings. I believe it's your commitment to what you're going to what you're bringing to the table and what you're willing to do. And I think that's it for now.
Cable?
I definitely think it's problematic that we have like 2 board members now that aren't members of the community. I definitely think being here...
That aren't members in what way?
Or aren't members of the San Diego community, sorry. They don't live here. And you know, while I'd love to be friends with them, I just don't think they can represent properly. And I think we should definitely like change the bylaws. Maybe, you know, they'll probably end up staying for the rest of their term, but I don't think we should let that happen again. Because I think you miss the pulse of the community when you're away. Like you can show up for the event or anything, and you know, but what you miss is what's happening day to day and what people are, you know, experiencing, and like all the things you hear on the side from random people, and like there's a lot of ways to learn about the community, and Brenda and Meg are 2 of the best. But you know, if you're not getting it day to day, I just feel it's really hard to like make that happen. So, you know, and other than that, I think, you know, like people voting is going to disqualify a lot of people who are just like, they're not really part of the community. I mean, in this case, we have 5 open positions. So, you know, like pretty much like almost everyone's going to get in. I mean, yeah, more than half, which is right. But you know, I think it's, you know, in most cases it's not that way, and I think, you know, the vote will disqualify people who aren't active in the community. Mm-hmm. You know.
Okay. So, Lisa.
I definitely agree with Cable, of course.
yes, wifey.
I definitely agree with having to be local. It is SDCAP. It's not Colorado CAP. It's not Texas CAP. It's San Diego community. So I fully 100% believe you need to live in San Diego to be able to be involved in the community, take on projects in the community, be involved in other parts of Utopia. And I also believe you have to, there is you know, we're having fun here. We're all goofing around, but there is a sense of professionalism. I've attended many SDCAP meetings, and in those meetings, it's very professional, in my opinion, and it has to be that way. If you're constantly just goofing off, nothing's going to get done. I personally feel like you have to have an understanding that you are representing this community as a whole. So what you think is funny may not be funny to someone else. It may be completely unprofessional and outrageous to someone else, and they're just going to be like, I cannot believe my board is doing this, or this person is doing that. Same in a job. I feel like, you know, we should be handling ourselves according to that. And I do think you need to be an honorable person in the community. You need to be trustworthy. You need to live by what you are trying to portray. If you're trying to portray you're trustworthy, you need to be trustworthy. You need to be, again, with the professional, not necessarily professionalism, you know, we don't need to wear suits to the meeting, but really need to be straight, level-headed, and again, you have to be included and involved with other parts of the community, not just the board, in my opinion.
Okay.
I like that you
Paul?
write your answers down. I do.
Wow, I have got to stop going last. Kumbaya, everything everybody said. I tend to lean more towards the call-in format than the cable format of residency. If you can make it to the vast majority of the meetings live and in person, that's close enough for me, because that either means you are committing to flying down twice a month, which means you're probably not just staying for the meeting, you're probably hanging out for a couple of days around it. Or you live close enough that you're popping down here all the freaking time anyway. So I'm more inclined towards how many physical meetings can you attend as a requirement for service. Foremost, though, really, to try and differentiate myself a little bit, is a willingness to recognize that the community is your constituency, that you need to be responsive to the will of the people. That yes, occasionally you're probably going to have to make generally unpopular decisions. I'm sorry we didn't give everybody free admittance to Utopia and an ice cream cone. You know, that
was bullshit.
That would be bullshit. Yeah. But the simple fact is that for large decisions, you need to do what the community wants rather than necessarily exactly what you want.
I'm going to let Cable have just a minute to respond more just because I like him.
Yeah. Well, and you're very handsome.
This is true. True story.
No, and I was just going to say that I actually think we're all pretty much in line. Like, I don't think there's a call-in or a Cable faction or like, you know, I think we all basically just want people to like live here and participate.
Oh, God damn. I keep trying to get some drama out of you people and you agree on everything.
I didn't mean to call you out. I should have said closer to Colin than Danksa. Oh, love you, Danksa.
All right, so you know what, Paul? Since you want to go first, you get to be the first one on this one.
Yay.
What has the board over the past 2 years done beautifully, perfectly, amazingly, and what tradition would you like to continue on what they've done?
I love the fact that, for the most part, board members have acted in an ethical and upstanding manner when it comes to their own personal projects and goals and votes of the board in general. You hear about board members having to recuse themselves from votes because they are too personally entwined with what is being voted about. If you want to look at the founding of the collab, folks had to step out of the room even though they had every right to be there officially, because they knew that their answer was absolutely yes, this is my idea, I want it to happen. Or if you want to look at the last event lead selection, you know, or any of the event lead selections, the event lead who is, if there's a board member who's also a potential event lead, they don't vote. And I really like that they are willing to recognize that it's a conflict of interest themselves. They don't have to be asked not to vote. They simply choose not to vote.
Beautiful. Lisa?
You know, Paul, I agree with you, actually.
Paul has stolen Lisa away from Cable.
It's going to be one of those complicated marriages, isn't it?
You could just start writing checks right now if you'd like.
But you're going to need both balls working for this.
Lisa, what has the board done great? What would you continue? What tradition do you continue?
You know, speaking from someone who does hold a lead position at Utopia and wanting to be a board member, it is something I've thought about, and how am I going to separate myself from that? But let me tell you, when I'm on site, I'm not going to be thinking about this. I'm going to be thinking about my department and what's going to be good for the department that was handed to me to do this great job. I just don't think that I can turn that off. I can turn those two things off. Same when it comes back to the discussion of Shuttlegate, nobody else bring it up, is I wouldn't step in that situation. That's not my job. You know, and so, and then in my daily life too, I see people who are doing what I think isn't the right job, but it's not my place. So I think that there has to be a big separation, and event leads being on the board. If I remember, there was one last year, and I don't feel that that was a complication, so to speak.
Okay.
Just as far as like what the board has done right, I think the fact that we actually got nonprofit status is I mean, that is an amazing accomplishment for our community, and I think everyone for the next decade is going to owe it to this last board to thank them. every time we get a matching donation from some company, every time like we like aren't paying taxes on something, like and can put that money towards things in our community, that is an amazing gift that this board has given us.
I don't think anybody disagrees.
All right, I'm going to step into Lisa's spot and agree with Cable. No, really. No, seriously. Obtaining nonprofit status is probably the most important thing they've done, and kudos to them. I think the second most important thing they've accomplished is their due diligence. They have gone beyond what I would think I'd be able to probably. So don't vote for me because I might not be able to do it, okay? I'm going to be honest.
Okay, everybody heard. Don't vote for her.
No, I'm serious. But for them to take their personal feelings and set them aside and make tough decisions that involves their friends, that's a tough, line to follow. And my hat's off to them for doing that. Great job.
My favorite thing.
No one has yet.
I do agree. The nonprofit
Brenda's
status.
like she got the Facebook notice that you were single. She's
The nonprofit status is huge. Yeah, I definitely agree with both the previous. What I was going to say was a little different. It was that the diversity of projects that are being supported now I really like. I like that it's a bunch of community-driven things and that SDCAP is finding ways to help them happen. So Collab and Figment and the core projects and all these different things, they're not necessarily run by SDCAP or the board. And in some cases, the connection's pretty loose. But I really like that they can get support here, whether it's financial or advisory or whatever.
Beautiful. Oh, claps, more claps. All right, so this is going to be the last couple of questions here. All right, we're coming up here at the finish line. We're going to call it that. 2 minutes or less. We'll start with Colin side. How important is it to have attended the burn in order to be a leader in this community?
For me, it was really important. It was definitely a thing. I would have trouble understanding this culture without having gone to the big one. I think that's changing. I have more and more friends that have gone to regional ones, and when they go to the big one, they say, "Oh, it's like a big utopia." So I guess I don't know.
Okay. All right. That was not the answer I was expecting. Brenda.
You don't have to repeat it. I got this.
Oh, thank God.
I got this.
I took away her drink.
Yeah, I don't think it's important at all. In fact, DCOM, back in the day before it was called Utopia, was the first event I ever attended. And from there, I went to Burning Man. I don't think you need to go to the burn to have the spirit of being a burner.
Cable?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The first burn I went to, there was 10,000 people, so it's not that much bigger than Utopia. So I can't, I mean, it's bigger, but it's not a scale bigger, so, now you've got like a magnitude or so. I don't know. Like, I feel like going to the burn, it creates new pathways in your brain. And I'm not sure Utopia does that yet. And it opens up ideas. You're like, oh, what's going around that corner? But it doesn't like fucking blow your mind. And we might get there, but and I have no doubt like we have the talent in our community to do that. I just don't, I feel like there's definitely something to be had for going to the burn first. I don't think it's a requirement. I think everyone should be allowed into the community. Like, it's an expensive journey to go there. Like, not everyone can afford that. If you can find it at home, take that and make something of it.
Okay. Lisa?
During the break, we were talking about this a little bit, about how to incorporate the 10 principles in your life. And I think absolutely you do not have to go to Burning Man prior to being on the board or understanding the community. My first event was Lightning in a Bottle in 98 or something. And I learned so much there. That sparked my life. That was my first volunteer job, and I was in it from that moment on. I volunteered at every Lightning in a Bottle then, and it wasn't until like 4 Lightning in a Bottles that I actually went to Burning Man, and I was blown away. But I didn't go to Burning Man as someone who was involved. I went as a participant, and I didn't really have that much fun. I got burnt out real quick. The weather was a little impactful on me, and I just didn't really feel that way. Like I didn't leave there like blown away. I've had so many mind-blowing moments at Utopia and at LIB and Lucidity or whatever I don't have at Burning Man. And Burning Man last year, I would think, is what's really sparked me in the job that I've had and things that I've done. But I don't think you don't have to go to any festivals to understand the principles and what it takes to be involved,
Okay. Paul?
So for once, I'm glad to go last, because when I first heard this question, I was worried. I was worried this was the question that was going to lose me this election. Because, full disclosure, I have never been to Burning Man.
All right, you're out.
It's not that I don't want to go. Although for a very long time I didn't. Why would I choose to go to that thing in the hot, unpleasant, awful desert when I could go to an awesome version of it in the redwood trees or on the La Jolla Indian Reservation? And yes, recently I have changed my tune on that. I definitely want to go. So, is it necessary? Well, I'm pretty ethical. If I felt it was necessary, I wouldn't be running, since I haven't gone. I have every intention of going as soon as I can. So hopefully this year, unless the medical stuff is really getting in the way. So, thank you, Brenda. But really, I do. I come from the new school. I come from the school that, I might add, the Borg is trying to create, which is they recognize the fact that there's a limited number of people who are allowed on the playa.
Yeah.
There's a limit. The federal government has set a cap. Not everyone can go to Burning Man who wants to go. And what they are trying to create is a society where people go to regionals and maybe eventually, hopefully, get to make the full pilgrimage out to the playa. And I definitely come from that new school.
All right. So last official question of the show. Oh, Brenda. Brenda's ready to just get the fuck out of here. I know. All right. So 2 minutes or less, and I'm just going to bounce around randomly here. What do you suck at? And I don't want one of these, we talked about, it's none of this negative, positive shit, I'm too much of a perfectionist. I mean, what do you really suck at? And since Brenda wants to go first, we're going to say, Cable, you go first. What do you suck at, Cable?
So unfair.
I suck at good dick.
No, you gotta suck at sucking a good dick. You can't just suck a good dick.
Well played, sir.
Okay. Other than that, let's see. I don't know.
You suck at
no. Here, I mean, I don't. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not the most detail-oriented person in the world. Seriously, I just if when it comes down to that, the fine grained stuff, I'm start to lose interest real fast. And also, I've got a big ass mouth. I fucking I
fit all that dick in there.
Yes.
No one said they were big dicks in his mouth.
Keep on 1 minute left.
Big dicks in your mouth.
Right now?
Well, and this is a little known fact.
Yeah.
It's for as big of a head as I have. I have a really tiny mouth.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Finish the story about your sucking dome. You guys can discuss this afterwards.
She
Continue.
asked me a question.
Yes.
Okay, what was the question?
What do you suck at?
Oh.
You're not detail-oriented. You said that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. If you got to proofread a document, I'm not your guy.
Okay.
I'll read it and I'll be okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Brenda.
Oh, sure. Now I get to go.
Damn right.
You can't choose dick.
Welcome to
No,
my
I'm not going
house.
to choose dick, although I don't have a gag reflex. I'm really good at sucking dick. Okay, hello? I suck.
Hi, Mom.
Shush, I got a good answer. I suck at the gray areas. I'm usually black and white. It's this way or that way. And that's something I really work on and strive to look more at the gray areas and not be so regimented in like, it's this way or it's not.
Yeah.
So that's what I suck at. But I'm
Paul,
good
what do you suck
sucking
at?
dick.
Well, now I have to say the word dick. Thanks, Danksa.
I bet he sucks at taking care of his balls.
Oh, yeah. Actually, an argument could be made that self-care is something I'm not great at. That being said, no, in all honesty, it's knowing when it's time to stop coming up with new ideas and just work on the ones we've already got. I just don't stop with the ideas all the time. Ooh, hey, you know what would be cool? All the time. And that's great when we're at the part where we need ideas because we don't know what we're doing. But when it's time to shut and do the work, it can be a bit of a distraction.
Okay. Colin, what do you suck at?
Yeah.
Just say dick and be done with it.
Just say dick and move on.
I'm pretty thin-skinned. I'm more of a vagina person, really. All right, got that out of the way. I have a pretty thin skin when people start yelling at me, especially strangers on the internet. I take it very personally, and that's the reason that I've said no to running for the board in the past. Today, I had to have someone talk me out of quitting, running. I got into it with a stranger and started yelling back and forth, and I really take that very personally. And I'm excited about the personal growth that this will end up forcing if I do it. That's about the best I can say on that one.
Don't quit. I'm going to vote for you.
I'm not.
Just whip out your dick.
Lisa, what do you suck
If you
at?
quit, I'll have to vote for Paul.
Shush. Lisa has the floor. She is very professional.
You know, I've been told a lot of times that I'm like a chameleon. I can adapt to certain situation. And again, and I know this is kind of a vague answer, but it really depends on the situation. I suck at a lot of things, and I'm really, really good at a lot of things. And sometimes the things I suck at turn out to be what I'm excelling at in that situation. So 100% I do tend to get emotional, like Colin said, about certain things. You know, I'll tend to take certain things to heart, you know, like it's my fault that we're out of gas on the mountain or something, you know, and it's, you know, and I take these things to heart and I let it really get to me when I've always got to learn to, you know, just take a deep breath. This is out of your control. Shuttlegate, out of my control. Don't worry about it. Worry about your own department. You know, this camp not having whatever, or even in my home life, you know, I don't have whatever. I don't have a car right now. It's out of my control. What I can do is fix the things that I can control. So what do I suck at? I don't know. A lot of things and not that much. I guess it really depends.
All right, you suck at a lot of things. We'll go with that. All right, guys, we're wrapping it up here. I'm gonna basically give each one of you just a couple of minutes to have a last word of whatever the fuck you want to say. Let's put a 2-minute cap on that, producer Meg. Okay, 2 minutes. Say whatever the fuck you want to say. Paul, go.
I want to go back to pretty much the first question Arash asked us tonight about how if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? I was really hoping to get the wonderful and why that other people had gotten. Why would I eat whiskey? Well, if I'm only able to eat one thing for the rest of my life, it means that society has collapsed so far that agriculture no longer works, and I'd really like to be drunk for the apocalypse. That's it.
That's legitimate. Bravo.
Okay.
Lisa.
I do want to touch a little bit on what Cable said about the board before us. I really think that the people who have been doing this job before us, I can't say one thing that they've done wrong or they should have done better because everybody's different, you know, like every president of the United States before us. Some have been good, some have been bad, whatever. But I think when they've they've all been really good at getting in there, getting the job done, and following through. And I think that as new board members, for myself, and like what Paul said, I am one of those people who will sit there and idea. But I think we do need to focus on what we have right now. What's good, let it continue. What's broke, let's fix it. And then, as the years to come, bring new things into light and work from there. But I'm just really blessed if I were to be elected to be following in the footsteps of the people that have come before me.
So, yeah, I entered the community at a point where I was sort of broken. Like I was, it was a weird point in my life. It was 2006 or so. Like, and I feel like I've just grown so much from like my experience in the community and the amazing people I've met. Like the way I found the community was I had actually moved down from San Francisco and I was living in Orange County. And I was trying to think about the time that I'd been happiest in my life. And it was when I had like been in San Francisco and I'd been hanging out with burners. I was like, I wonder if there's any of those people down here. And so I sort of seeked it out, and there was like some weird Yahoo group that like now gets one posting every year, but like that used to be the old Facebook. And so like I just stopped crying, Brenda. No. But I mean like, but I look at who I was back then, and I look at how much I've grown through the community, and I feel like community's gotten to a point now where my skill set's finally valuable. Like I can't build shit, but I know how to think about things. Like I've lived my life in my head, and I feel like I can see a vision for our community that I'm excited about, and I feel like it's sort of like my time to sort of like make my contribution. So that's where I am.
That was so touching.
I don't think Brenda was crying. I think she was laughing at you.
No, she laughs at me a lot.
I love you. Okay, first of all, I know everyone thinks I'm a smart ass. I don't take things seriously, but
No.
I really do take things seriously, but I do it with a humor as my background because that's who I am, and I'm not going to be somebody else just to fit somebody's idea of what a board member should be. Those that know me know that I'm fiercely loyal, I'm committed, I'm a hard worker, and I take it serious. And if you can't deal with my humor, then don't vote for me. Yeah, it's me. It's who I am. You accept me or you don't. That's who I am.
Colin?
I guess I had a lot of different things I wanted to say. So the two big ones would be, because I can't get to all of it, there's the Facebook group where we're all going to be talking back and forth, and I'll try to do a good job of answering questions there. And then I guess next Wednesday, there's a chance for everybody to come out and meet all of us. And it's, hope that happens too. But, ask questions if I didn't answer them.
Beautiful. All right. Guys, thank you so much for sitting through all of this. It's been really a lot of fun for me. I can tell you that because I got to just kind of ask questions and sit back and laugh at you insane people.
Thank you for hosting us. We really do appreciate it.
Of course. And I just want to make sure to thank Engineer Chris on the air. Today you got that title. He's the guy that's been, he totally helped us set all the mics up over here. Chris is my creative partner on the other podcast that I co-host called Crappy Awesome, shameless plug. We've been doing that for 4 years, and we've been on all kinds of amazing journeys together. So this has been wonderful for me to bring him on here and have him help us put together this amazing show. And of course, producer Meg for dreaming this insanity up, and it's worked out wonderfully. So you guys are all fucking awesome. I'm going to check out and do the outro thing later. All right, bye.
All right, well, that was it. was a long ass conversation with all the labels bouncing up and down, and you know that the sound, if you noticed, sounded incredibly crisp and perfect and clear, and that's because my partner in crime, the other half of Diego Brown Project, Kill C-Ray, he goes by, Engineer Chris, he goes by on our show, did an amazing job putting a lot of the technical stuff together, and thank God he was there, because I might have actually jumped out of the second floor window of Collab and just injured myself really badly. That wouldn't kill you. You can tweet me directly at Mr. Arash, and when discussing the show, please do use the hashtag Burner Podcast. Mr. Arash is spelled M-R-A-R-A-S-H. Not too complicated. Leave us some reviews on iTunes. That would be cool of you, or not, whatever. We didn't have intermission music this time, so I'm not going to credit Duckman. The Burner Podcast theme song is America's Horse with No Name, the remix produced by Joman. Check out more of his stuff at soundcloud.com/DJJoman, DJJoman. This episode is produced by Meg King. If you have questions or suggestions for future guests, shoot them over to Meg King. She is on Twitter at @ThatMegKing. Our online editor is Alpi. She writes and curates the blog and can be reached on Twitter at @burner_podcast. The underscore is very important. Please do use that, or you will be tweeting some record label in Australia. Or as always, you can just use the contact form at burnerpodcast.com. Hope you'll join us next time, which will be next week, because we release new episodes on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. And if you want more information on all the craziness that we discussed, join the San Diego Burners group on Facebook. And there's posts and updates and yada yada. All that stuff is happening on there over at the San Diego Burners page on Facebook. So make sure you go and join that. Even if you don't live in San Diego, it's cool. We're welcoming. Come hang out and eavesdrop. Weirdo. Anyway, until next time, which will be next week, love and light and all the other crap. Good night.